Hello, my name is Michaela Schumigray, and I am a 3D macrame sculpture artist from Canada. In this tutorial, I will teach you how to make a lark's head knot, clove hitch knot, and more. We're going to start with the reverse lark's head knot. First, I'm going to cut a piece of rope from the spool. In one end, I'm going to tie a small overhand knot. Then I'm going to pin this knot to the corkboard just to hold it in place. I'm going to add 4 more pieces of rope onto this one using reverse lark's head knots. I'll show you how. For these practice knots, it doesn't matter how long you cut your pieces of rope. You just need long enough that you can practice with. To tie a reverse lark's head knot, you want to first take a piece of rope and fold it in half. Pass this piece of rope behind the one that's pinned to your corkboard with the loop facing up. Fold the loop over the top of the rope so you create a little hole. Then pull your 2 ends through. Pull down on the ends gently to tighten. This is one reverse lark's head knot. Next, I will show you how to create a horizontal clove hitch knot. When you're creating your knots, the piece that you are tying knots onto is always called a working rope. It doesn't move. You hold it in your hand and you tie the knots onto the working rope. So for example, when we tied the reverse lark's head knots, the piece that's pinned to the corkboard, that's the working rope. I'm going to continue to use this as the working rope to teach you the horizontal clove hitch knots. The direction in which you hold your working rope determines what kind of clove hitch knot you're creating. So if you're holding it horizontally, you're creating a horizontal clove hitch knot. If it's diagonal, it's a diagonal clove hitch knot. The clove hitch knots are always created in order from left to right or right to left. You don't necessarily skip over pieces of rope to create the next one. I also want to make it clear that horizontal clove hitch knots and all kinds of clove hitch knots are actually 2 knots. So I'll show you. I'm going to hold the working rope in my left hand, which means I'm going to knot from the right to the left. So that it's secure, I'm just going to add a pin. I'm going to take the first piece of rope to create the first horizontal clove hitch knot. Now remember, I'm tying onto the working rope in my left hand. Going to pass the rope up and over the working rope, behind the working rope, and through the loop, and pull tight. That's 1/2 of a horizontal clove hitch knot. Now to create the second half, you're just going to repeat that. So pass the end of the rope up and over the working rope, pass it underneath, and through the loop, and pull tightly. This is one complete horizontal clove hitch knot. To create a diagonal clove hitch knot, I'm going to hold the working rope diagonally. Let me show you from the other side. I'm going to hold the working rope in my right hand and angle it downwards to the right. I'm going to take the first piece of rope and tie a horizontal clove hitch knot, but it's going to be diagonal. So pass it up and over, behind the working rope and through that hole, and pull tightly. And now creating the second half, up and over, behind and through the loop, and pulling tightly. As you can see, because I'm holding the working rope diagonally, the knots are starting to become diagonal. So depending on how you hold your working rope, that's the direction that your knots are gonna go. I'm going to fold this piece in half and place it behind some of these vertical pieces of rope coming down. Now, because this is a vertical clove hitch knot, you want to hold your working rope vertically. This piece is going to be my first working rope. I'll move this one out of the way. To create the vertical clove hitch knot, I'm going to take the right side of the piece that I added in behind cross it over the working rope, behind and through that loop, and pull tightly. That's 1/2 of a vertical clove hitch knot. To create the second half, we're going to repeat that. So take the right side of the piece of rope, pass it over the working rope, behind and through the loop, and pull tightly. So here, this is really loose on my working rope, so I'm going to pull both ends gently to tighten. That's 1 VCH, or vertical clove hitch knot. You'll need 1 long piece of rope as your working rope, and you'll need 4 pieces of rope added to that working rope with reverse lark's head knots. To start knotting in a circle, you're going to take your working rope in your left hand and spiral it around the pin. Now I'm going to start knotting horizontal clove hitch knots onto the working rope to secure it to the other side of the spiral. So I have the working rope in my right hand, and I'm going to take the first piece of rope on the right and create a horizontal clove hitch knot. So I'm passing it up and over the working rope, behind the working rope, and through the loop, and pulling tightly, and repeating for the other half. Up and over, behind, and through the loop. To continue knotting in a circle, you just have to continue knotting horizontal clove hitch knots in order from left to right. As you create these knots, you'll see that your shape is becoming to form a spiral. I'm going to continue knotting until I've knotted all 8 of the horizontal clove hitch knots. Now that you have a spiral shape started, I'm going to show you how to add rope. I'm going to add this colorful piece of rope to the working rope with a reverse lark's head knot. So remember, fold your piece in half, pass the loop behind the working rope, up and over, and feed the ends through. So this is one way of adding color or adding additional rope to your piece. Now I'm going to show you the second way to add color to your piece. So I'm going to use a piece of black rope. Again, it doesn't matter how long your piece is. And I'm going to add this piece of rope to the spiral that you're creating with a VCH knot. So fold it in half. Take the next piece of rope in order. So that's this one. Pass your piece of black rope behind this working rope. And starting on the right side, we're going to take the right piece of black rope, pass it over the working rope, behind, and through the loop, and tighten, and repeat to create the other half. Now I'm going to slide this piece of rope up to the spiral. To transition from the white color to the black color, you're actually going to skip over this white working rope and just knot the 2 blacks. If you don't want to add any rope at this stage of your piece, you have to make sure to skip a second piece of white rope because we're adding 2 blacks. Here, I'll show you how to add the 2 blacks. So I'm taking the original working rope, I'm going to take the next piece of black rope and create a horizontal clove hitch knot. Then I'm going to skip over this white piece of rope and tie the second piece of black rope with a HCH knot. So that is the second way to add color to your 3D piece. And there you have it. Now you know how to make different knots to use in your designs. If you want to keep learning how to use 3D macrame techniques, check out my full Domestika course. See you next time.